Hey guys, welcome back to Adlib Talk, and this is my review for Netflix's latest action horror series, Resident Evil. But before we start with this review, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it, and please do consider subscribing. So, developed by Andrew Dabb, this is the second attempt we have seen at adapting the video game franchise to the small screen after the animated miniseries Infinite Darkness. We have also had some rather unremarkable movies, many of which have been quite critically panned. So, having heard that Netflix was working on a Resident Evil series and coming off the amazing season 4 of Stranger Things, one could say I was quite excited for this. And then I watched the first episode, and the second, and the third, and I actually managed to finish the whole series. I think I deserve some kind of award for finishing the whole thing. But let's start talking about the story before I go into detail as to why this series simply does not work. So, the series' main plot is split up into two. One set in 2022 and one set in 2036. So, the 2022 storyline focuses on the 14-year-old half-twins Billy and Jade, who are Dr. Albert Wesker's children. They move to Umbrella's community called New Raccoon City in South Africa, but it is here that the kids start to suspect the goings-on in Umbrella's factory as they try to find out information about who they really are, together with what is going on in Umbrella. In the meantime, we also get to see their father attempt to deal with the many issues caused by the development of the T-virus, which in this case they call Joy. Now, the other plotline takes place in 2036, like I already said, where we see the consequences of the release of the T-virus, which has killed the majority of humans on Earth, with human population now reduced to 300 million. The people who have contracted the virus and turned to basically zombies are called Zeros. Now, during this time period, we get to see a grown-up Jade try to escape from the Umbrella Corporation, which are attempting to find and capture her, as she also attempts to study the Zeros to find a way to possibly control and maybe live with them. So you must be thinking, these don't sound too bad. Yes, it's really bad. There were many moments throughout the series where I found myself wondering whether I had pressed on the right series or not on Netflix, because I could never believe that so much teen angst and so much teen drama could be added to a Resident Evil series. Now, I think this is a clear example of producers and writers completely misreading their target audience. Andrew Dabb, who wrote and was one of the co-producers of this show, must take the vast bulk of the blame here. I have no idea what was going on in his head, but trying to target Gen Zers for this project was not the way to go. So listen to this. At the start of the series, we are introduced to two sisters as we listen to a Billie Eilish song in the background. Now, mind you, I like Billie Eilish, but let's be honest, her music should be nowhere near any Resident Evil series, movie, or whatever. Anyways, one of the sisters is listening to the song, and guess what? Her hairstyle is very similar to Billie Eilish, and also guess what? She dressed up just like Billie Eilish, and also guess what? Yes, her name is obviously Billie. Now, this is just one small tiny annoyance I have of a series that simply doesn't know any kind of direction, doesn't know what it wants to achieve, doesn't know who it wants to please, doesn't know for whom it's directed for. It's just a complete mess. Now, another issue I have with the series is their decision to split up the series into two storylines. Now, that decision per se is not a bad idea. It's a great way to create mystery and suspense. Think about Better Call Saul, for example. We know that Kim Wexler doesn't appear in Breaking Bad, and so we are constantly wondering what will happen to her. And in this series, they do try to achieve that same kind of mystery with Billie, Jade's sister. Unfortunately, the contrasting styles between both timelines creates a complete juxtaposition which literally ruins the whole thing. We switch from serious zombie action with Jade constantly surviving by the skin of her teeth to teenage soap with Jade and Billy moping about because of boys maybe not giving them attention. You have to watch it to truly understand how awful this whole debacle is. And this is not to talk about all the visual contrasts that we have between the 2022 and the 2036 parts of the story. One is all dark colors, there's a very dark red and browns, and the other is all about the grays and the blues. It's just a complete mess. But just you wait, I'm not done with the writing yet. The performances here are overall not half bad, but every actor is seriously hindered due to some very, very campy dialogue. Which, listen, I know it's Resident Evil, you should expect a bit of that, but the dialogue most of the time either just does not make sense or is so extremely stupid, you will be rolling your eyes constantly. Like I said, the performances are not half bad. This is probably one of the better elements of this series. My standout was obviously Lance Reddick as Albert Wesker. This was inspired casting, as Reddick is able to give his character the required gravitas for the role and then some. Reddick really deserves a much better script for this role, which is a massive pity, but he really does what is humanly possible in a role that mostly unfortunately sees him just playing a serious scientist who cares for his kids. Fortunately, later on in the series, Reddick is offered some diversity in his role, which is where he truly excels. I also thought that the young actors, Tamara Smart as young Jade Wesker and Sienna Agudong as young Billy Wesker, both did a decent job, whilst from the older actors, Ella Balinska as Jade Wesker was also quite impressive. Whilst I have some issues with her character, she manages to transform what should have been a really unlikable character into someone I could sort of empathize with a little. Finally, I also have to praise most of the VFX as well as the practical work, such as makeup and the prosthetics on the zombies and all the different monstrous creatures we see throughout. For a TV series budget, they have done an excellent job on portraying the Zeros and a variety of monstrous creatures, many of which are direct references to the games, which was great to see. This does frustrate me a little, though, that the writing pushed the series to being more of an action one, forgetting obviously about all the teenage drama that we get in the 2022 storyline, with very little elements of horror sprinkled here and there. Now, one of the best scenes of the whole series involves liquors, and it is here that I experienced a moment of, oh, this series could actually have been so much more fun. Fortunately, moments like these are few and far between and cannot justify a recommendation from myself to watch this series. So, with decent VFX and zombie design together with some half-decent performances and admittedly some okay action here and there, but struggling with some awful writing and the series simply targeting the completely wrong demographic, I in no way can recommend Resident Evil, and my rating for it is a dismal 1.5 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that review, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like on this video and please do consider subscribing. Cheers, and I'll see you guys next time right here on Adlib Talk.